Welcome everybody to a very special edition of BREEZY Takes Manhattan. As you might be able to tell, we are not in the studio again today. In fact, I'm not even in the state of New York right now. But this is a very special edition coming to you live from Boston, Massachusetts. That's right, the great, historic city of Boston is where I'm residing right now. And this has been a long time coming. I wanted to take a trip to Boston for the last couple years. It's been hard with my schedule and with moving across the country, but I'm so glad I'm finally here. And yeah, let's get into it. So, for those of you who know me from California, I made a habit of traveling regularly. I like to go on a lot of vacations, and a lot of times it was to very random places. Like in California, I would visit Simi Valley, and I'd visit San Pedro, and I don't even remember the other ones. Seal Beach, like very obscure places, and I would spend the night. And I usually stay there a night or two. And I would try to find whatever local activities exist. I try to go to the best restaurant in the area, the best bar in the area, the best dessert place in the area. And I'd make a thing out of it, and I would enjoy it. And I do love traveling to obscure places. But what is better than traveling to obscure places, you might ask? Traveling to great, amazing cities like Boston. And in California, I had a couple big cities whipped in there too. I went to San Francisco. I went to Santa Barbara. Obviously, Los Angeles itself is a big city. So I've gone on trips to big places, small places. But in the case of Boston, this is a big freaking deal. And it took me a while to get here. And now that it's happened, it's almost like a relief that I finally did it. But also, I feel like I'm not even seeing all of it, and that's understandable. I'm only here a couple of days, but I came in with a couple things I wanted to do, and that was it. I think 3 things. I wanted to go to a Red Sox game, where I got this wonderful hat. I wanted to go to the John F. Kennedy Library, Presidential Library, and get my presidential passport stamped, which I am proud to say I did. Right here, you could see I got the stamp to going to the Kennedy Library. I'm trying to go to all the presidential libraries. There's 13 of them. I've now been to 5, so I got a long way to go. I've tried to go to the ones that were near me. When I lived in California, there were 2 there, Nixon and Reagan, so I went there. There was one near me in New York, FDR, so I went to that one. And then when I was in Dallas, Texas, I went to George W. Bush, and now John F. Kennedy. So I wanted to go get my thing stamped, and I did. I wanted to go to the Red Sox. I did. And I wanted to go on the famous duck tours they have in Boston, where it's a boat and a bus. You go on land for most of it. You kind of drive around the historic parts of Boston. You go through Faneuil Hall, Quincy Market. You go through the city, and then you also go in the water in between Cambridge and Boston. And I did that today, and it was absolutely wonderful. It was just as I remembered it 13 years ago. I haven't been here in a long time. I looked at colleges here. I looked at BU, and they were actually, I think, the first college to reject me outright. So I don't love that. But I did enjoy the tour I took, and I did enjoy the experience I had staying in Boston while we looked at BU. So it's always been near and dear to my heart. Also, I came here with my sleepaway camp when I was 12 or 13. I don't remember exactly which year. And we spent a night at Emerson College. So I've been coming to Boston since I was a kid. But it's a lot more fun now when you're an adult and you can, drink some alcohol. So, yeah, I wanted to check it out. This is my first time here as a grown-up, so I wanted to check it out. And it's been great. I'm going to kind of go into all the different things that I've experienced so far. And I'll be doing another episode when I get back. I need to cover some things I did on my home turf. I went to Long Beach to visit my cousins, which was incredible. And it's known as the City by the Sea. And it's a really nice beach town in Long Island, New York. I compare it to the Hamptons. It's not as highly compared to the Hamptons in the public. If you ask people who are prominent in New York, but I thought it was great. And I also have good things to say about New Jersey when I went to Exchange Place in Hoboken again. And I am loath to praise New Jersey ever, as a lifelong New Yorker who doesn't like the New Jersey Devils. I have no reason to be nice to New Jersey, but I had a very nice experience walking around there the other night, and I will get into those things when I do my post-Boston episode, which should be coming out soon. But while I'm in Boston, I'm going to focus on Boston. You noticed the Red Sox hat. I have to tell you, going to Fenway Park is so cool. It's been a long time since I went. Again, I think I went when I was 13, and that was it. The fans are incredible. Every seat, it felt like, was full. The crowd was so loud. It was kind of a boring game. It was like a 1-1 game going into the ninth before the Red Sox finally won. But even though it was a boring game, the crowd was great. The crowd was loud. The crowd was so into it, hanging on every pitch, every at-bat. So it was a great experience to be there. I walked there from my hotel in downtown Boston. And, you know, the walk in Boston is great. You have all the brightly lit buildings. You have full bars, full restaurants on the street. You have a little bit of everything. It reminds me a lot of New York. And, you know, I always considered Boston to be very similar to New York. Maybe the little sibling, but a great place nonetheless. So the Red Sox game was so fun. And I decided for the rest of the season, since the New York Mets have been such a colossal embarrassment, waste of time and waste of energy this year, the last couple of months, they've completely nosedived. They were one of the best teams in Major League Baseball. And now they've become the worst team in Major League Baseball. It's amazing that that could happen in one season. But it did. And we're here, and we need to accept reality. So, since the Mets are going nowhere this year, I will be rooting for the Boston Red Sox the rest of the season. And they're a young, exciting, scrappy team. They don't have a lot of star power, at least on offense. They traded away their one good player, Rafael Devers. Their one great player, that is. And so, yeah, they're kind of like an underdog, scrappy team. And that's who I will be rooting for the rest of the season. It should be fun. I'm excited for the ride. Baseball playoffs and baseball runs are always the best. So that should be great. And I wish I could go to every Red Sox game because, again, it was just so, you know, the ballpark is ancient. Like, I think it was, I don't remember the exact year Fenway was built, but I believe it was in the before 1920 or around then. And a lot of the stuff has not been upgraded. The seats are definitely still 100 years old. I've never had more uncomfortable old seats. No cup holders in any of the seats that I could see. Maybe there's some new upgraded seats by Home Plate that has it, but these were old seats that look like they have not been replaced in 100 years. They were like black wood, crickety, very uncomfortable. But it doesn't matter because you just like to be there because Boston and Fenway Park is such a historic stadium and historic city. And a team that's very historic. The Red Sox had the notorious Curse of the Bambino. And they didn't win a World Series from 1918 to 2004. And it was misery for Red Sox fans. But since then, they've won 4 World Championships since 2004. So the franchise has turned around. Fenway Park has been there through the bad times and the good times. So that's the definition of history to me. And it's great history there. So that was a great Friday night experience. After that, there was a club beneath my hotel. There's a club right now, it's going on right downstairs. So I checked that out. But, you know, a lot of the stuff I want to do here, I do during the day. Nighttime is kind of just for eating dinner, walking around a little bit. And you can see the pretty lights. But this is a daytime place from what I can tell. I did the JFK library this morning. It was about a 15-minute drive. It's located really, it's kind of far from everything. It's on the campus of, I believe, UMass College. So the dorms were there and the buildings. It looks like a very modern, nice college. Brand new buildings, brand new dorms. There's a city nearby, I think, called Harbor Bay, that a lot of college kids occupy that are living in off-campus housing. So very nice, almost suburban area, right on the water. The library's right on the water. It's got a beautiful view throughout. And there's a couple historic places right next to it. The Edward Kennedy Institute, his brother, Senator Ted Kennedy, that's named after him. That's right next to the JFK library. And there's, I think it was the Massachusetts History Museum, was right down the street from both places. I did not get to go to the Edward Kennedy Institute or the Massachusetts History Museum, but maybe one day I'll be able to go back and do it. And I kind of wish I was able to walk around that whole area because it was really nice. Like the view of the college buildings and all the grass. It felt like being back on a beautiful college campus, which I had for 4 years at Chapman. And, I missed that. So I did regret a little bit that I didn't get to do that. But time is short here. I'm only here a couple days. So unfortunately, I'm just not going to be able to do every single thing I want. So I have to prioritize. But I did the library this morning. And then after that, I took a little break. But I wanted to go to the New England Aquarium, since my duck tour was going to pick me up outside the aquarium at 6 p.m. So I wanted to go to the aquarium from like 3:30 to 6. When I showed up there, first of all, there was a huge line to get tickets. Not a problem, which, everyone who knows me well knows I despise lines of any kind. But it was a fast-moving line. I figured it would be quick. So that was okay. That wasn't an issue. But then when I get to the front of a line, the woman's... so basically there were like the 5 windows. It's like picking up tickets at will call, but you just buy them there. And then there's a will call window on the left, which is window 1. So when I get to the front, I see that window 1 is open. And I wasn't sure if that was will call or you can buy tickets there. So when it was my turn online, I kind of walked to window 1 and realized it was only will call. So I went back and then I went to one of the windows that was in front, like window 5 or whatever. And the woman says to me, "You're cut in line. You need to go, you need to go back in line." I said, "No, I didn't. I just went to walk over to see if if window 1 was open." And she's like, "Well, they behind you said you cut too." And I said, "Are you serious? I didn't cut." And I was worried she was going to go to the back of the line and this was going to be ugly. An ugly encounter at an aquarium, of all places, like a kid-friendly, sea creature loving place. Eventually she's like, "Okay." But then she said, "Oh, by the way, you're going to have to wait 40 minutes before you can go in. And we recommend being in there for an hour and a half." So I would have had it go in at 4:40, and my duck tour was at 6, so I would have really had an hour. And I said, "No, I want to have the whole experience. I don't want to rush. I don't like rushing when I do these kinds of things." It's not super cheap to get in. It's like $40 to get in. So I decided I'm just going to go tomorrow. I'll go in the morning. I'll wake up and go. Because I do want to see it. It looks cool. I've heard about a giant tank they have in there. And I heard about a really old sea turtle, too. That's there, like an over 100-year-old sea turtle. So that should be fun. And I've been documenting this whole trip. I will have a video on this channel chronicling every single thing I did, including visiting Quincy Market and Faneuil Hall, which I did yesterday. I did a lot of walking around yesterday because I walked to and from Fenway Park. And I walked kind of through all those historical sites yesterday and today. Today I went to so instead of going to the aquarium, because it was right near the north end. It's called the North End of Boston. And there's a couple historical artifacts there that I visited today. One is it was a house owned by Paul Revere in the late 1700s. The house, I think, was actually it was made in the 1680s. So very old house. But when you walk in, it wasn't as impressive as I thought. They don't really have any original things. They replaced the walls. They repainted the walls. They have furniture that's replicas of what was there. They had a few items owned by the Revere family, but I don't think any of the items were actually in that house when they lived there. Maybe a few of them. But it was only $5. That's kind of what you expect for that price. But it was his house, and I was in the house, and we did get to see every room. The man had 16 children with 2 different women. That's crazy. And a lot of them were living in that house, and it was not a big house. It was a couple stories, but there was like 3 small rooms. It was interesting to see. And then down the street from the Paul Revere house is the Old North Church in Boston, where Paul Revere had people signal that the British were coming by sea or by land. 2 if by land, 1 if by... No, 2 if by sea, 1 if by land, 2 if by sea. And it was by sea, so there were 2 lanterns in the steeple of the Old North Church. This was in 1776 or 5, I think. But it's a very historic church because and the whole church says that it's known for signaling that the British were coming, and that's how Paul Revere was able to know they were coming by sea. So big deal. And there's a lot of little places like that in Boston. It's one of the oldest cities in the country, and a lot of the Revolutionary War stuff happened in Boston. So a lot of stuff about John Hancock here, Samuel Adams, John Adams. The duck tour went over it all, and some of it's going to be in the video I'm going to post chronicling the whole trip. But yeah, I love the history here, and to have the sports that they have here, the history that they have here, the modern city features that I always like, the tall buildings, the nice buildings, the ability to see water, all the nice college campuses that are around here, the youth that's in the town. It's a lot of young people my age. Nothing but positive things to say about this city, and I've had a great time. Unfortunately, I'm leaving tomorrow. I wish I could stay a week, really. But, with jobs and stuff, it's not possible, unfortunately. But, yeah, it's been a great time. It's not over yet. So tomorrow I'm going to wake up early and go to that, not early, like 10 a.m., but I'm going to wake up and go to that aquarium. And then I think I'm just going to spend the day walking. There's the Boston Common Park, which I should have mentioned already. I went there yesterday. It's right near the hotel, but it's like a thing of grass. It's a lot of grass. It reminds me a little bit of like Central Park, but it's just different. It looks different. It's very quiet. Like, there was a portion when I was walking through it, and I'm like, you could literally drop a penny or a pin and hear nothing. And hear it, because there's no noise. So it's got a great serenity about it. It's got water views. It's got tennis courts. It's got baseball and softball fields. It does remind me a lot of Central Park. So I'm going to try to take a much longer walk through the Boston Commons. It also has statues. There's statues of, I think, George Washington, some other old historical figures. So it'll be nice to take a nice thorough walk through the Boston Commons tomorrow. And then I think I'm going to try to walk to Cambridge, which is, I think, like a 40-minute walk. You walk over a bridge. When I took the duck tour today, I was able to see Cambridge. It was across the way. I was in the water in the Charles River in between Boston and Cambridge. It looked beautiful. Again, new modern buildings. And Cambridge is famously home of Harvard, and I believe MIT is also in Cambridge, because I was able to see, he pointed out on the duck tour parts, different buildings of the MIT campus. So, yeah, I think I'm going to try to walk to Cambridge. I also there's a place called the Prudential Center that has a rooftop view, panoramic view of all of Boston. I don't know how high up it's actually. I think it's only like 30 floors up, which sounds like a lot, but like you go to New York, you can go 100 floors up. Seattle, the Space Needle, is like 90 floors up. So if it's really only 30 or 40 floors up, that's not overly impressive, but I get a free ticket through my hotel. So I'm going to go to that, and the Cambridge Walk, and the Boston Common Walk, and the aquarium. Those are the 4 things I have laid out for tomorrow. I hope I get to all of them. I was upset I couldn't do the aquarium today because I like to stick to my schedule. The Museum of Science I'm considering going to. I mean, to have to hold the mic like this is very uncomfortable, but I'm going to keep going. The Museum of Science is near Cambridge. It's actually it's on the way. If I were to walk from Boston to Cambridge, I'd pass it. I don't think I'm going to go, but I might at the last minute decide to go. I just feel like I've been to a few Museum of Sciences. They all seem the same to me. Like, they're cool. Don't get me wrong. They have like information about like how you see certain things, about all your senses, things about like energy. I love science museums. I just feel like I went to one in Dallas when I was there. I've been to them in other places, so it's not a priority. Also, I have to pay to go in, and it's probably like another 30 or 40 bucks. All the museums have a very similar price. So we'll see if I do it or not. I'll be sure to let you know on the post-Boston podcast, but I'm leaning towards not doing it. But look, if I get through the walking really quickly and have a ton of time on my hands, I might go. We'll see. I still need to book a return trip, actually. When I checked a couple days ago, there was a bus going back to Manhattan at 10 p.m., And I hope it's still there, because that would be perfect, because then I get to spend the whole day there tomorrow, essentially. I can leave my bags at the hotel. I get back very late, but that's okay. It's worth it to be able to spend the day. Not really rush. I mean, if I'm leaving at 10 p.m., I can pretty much have the whole day. So I'm excited for my last day here. I wish it wasn't my last day here, but, that's life. We only have a limited time when we do trips like this. So I got to make the most of it. And I think I have. I looked up, top 10 places in Boston before I got here. I think I hit pretty much everything I wanted to. Newbury Street, Beacon Hill. I didn't even know what those were till I got here, but I was able to see those on the Duck Tour today. I went to Quincy Market and Faneuil Hall. I don't really know what part of Boston that those two things are exactly considered, because I know I'm staying in downtown Boston. I know the Boston Common Park is downtown Boston because it's right near the hotel, and Chinatown's right here, so I assume that's loosely downtown Boston. Faneuil Hall and the Quincy Market, it's like a 20-minute walk. I don't know. That's kind of goes more towards the historical part of Boston. I don't know if that's considered downtown or what area that's exactly in. I wish I could tell you. And the aquarium, you kind of go past Faneuil Hall as well. You go to the right of Quincy Market and Faneuil Hall. And I'm not sure what area that's considered either. It's by the water, but it's not the seaport. I know that. The seaport is another area. So maybe I'll try to gather all the facts tomorrow, my last day here, because I'm going to be walking around all these areas again. I'm going to go to the aquarium. I'm going to go to probably past Faneuil Hall and Quincy Market again. So I'm going to try to find out what specifically the different areas are considered and called. There's also Copley Square, which I believe I passed coming back from Fenway Park, but I haven't pinpointed it exactly yet. So I'm going to make sure that I see it at the very least, even if I don't spend time there. Newbury Street, I probably won't end up going back there unless it's on the walk to Cambridge. If I do end up doing the Cambridge walk, if it's on the way, I'll see all this stuff. I'll see whatever's on the way. And I do want to walk. I want to see Cambridge. I've never been. I'd like to get a glimpse of the famous Harvard University, where so many smart people have studied and learned for years. And Harvard, I think, is one of the oldest universities in the United States. So, yeah, I'm excited for tomorrow. I wish I could be longer, but, that's life. Trying to think if there's anything else to say while I'm here. I left the windows open, so you should be able to hear the sights and sounds of Boston. Behind me, there isn't really much going on, but on the street in front of the hotel on the other side, it's packed. I think this is like the nightclub street, because there's people jamming in the streets, there's music blasting, and there's a club in the basement of this hotel, the W. So, yeah, I picked a good area. I went to Chinatown tonight to eat dinner. I went to a hot pot buffet for the first time. It's really cool. I've been to Korean barbecue before, where you can cook the food yourself. But this is it's like a boiling pot that's always boiling, and you kind of just take different meat and put it in, and you cook it, and it only takes a minute or two because it's already boiling. So you put in this red meat, and in a minute later it's brown and ready to eat, and it tastes delicious. And it was all you can eat, so it's one price. It was $32, I think, and you get as much as you want. It's a great deal. It's really too good to be true. I don't know how I was able to swing that, really. I don't know how that doesn't put them out of business. Because isn't red meat expensive? I mean, isn't that why steak is so much and why burgers and everything is not cheap? I don't know. It's beyond me. I hope the meat is good and it wasn't bad meat and that's how they get away with it. Let's hope not, right? Food poisoning is not fun, especially when you're not home. So I'm going to pray that that the food wasn't a problem. It did taste pretty good. But taste is not always an indication of being safe, as I'm sure many people can attest to. So, yeah, I'm just excited to spend more time here. I'm going to make the most of my day tomorrow. And, again, on the next podcast, I'll talk about some of the things I've been doing back in New York. I'll talk about how my last day in Boston went. And, yeah, I'm going to enjoy it while I'm here. And I thank you all for listening, and I will talk to you next time.